Is it awesome to say when things exceed your expectations? That's what this space has done. It has exceeded my expectations.
What's up, SVGers? Brandon Costa from Sports Video Group on SVG On Demand. We're taking you to Florham Park, New Jersey, the home of the New York Jets of the National Football League. We are joined by a good friend of SVG. He's Chris Gargano. He is the Vice President and Executive Producer for the New York Jets. He's coming to us right from their new studio, the BetMGM studio, right in that Florham Park facility that we were talking about. Chris, wonderful to see you. How you doing, sir?
It's great to see you, Brandon. My goodness, it's been a while. It's wonderful to see you. And yes, I'm in the Florham Park studios, the BetMGM studios. It's a great place to be right about now.
Really, really nice. Well, this has been a very interesting season. I mean, in the NFL, it feels like they all are interesting in some kind of way. It's been a very interesting new one for the Jets in that there has been a lot of new. You have a new head coach, a new starting quarterback in both Robert Saleh and Zach Wilson, respectively. How has it been working with them, and how have you and your team generated content ideas around that concept of new and rebooting the team at the top?
So I will tell you this has exceeded my expectations. And I think the group that I work with would say the same thing. They have been all in on content ideas that we've had, whether they be interviews or a docu-series feature or just social media, walking out of the locker room and onto the field and engaging with questions that we may ask them, photo shoots. I mean, honestly, they're really an engaged group and totally get and respect what we're trying to do as a content department. So I cannot speak higher of this group. Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, you mentioned Zach, but all the players, the rookies, the vets, free agents, whatever the case may be, we have really worked well together. And it's nice to be able to say that because I think the content shows that commitment to what we're all trying to do together.
And now you and I have talked about this a lot and how this is a relationships business. What did you need to do last off season to lay a groundwork of trust with those big parties that we mentioned, be it the coach, QB1, whatever it may be? And what advice maybe would you give to other content teams out there? Look, if you're in the NFL long enough, you're going to see pretty dramatic upheaval on rosters on a daily basis. But what's your advice for establishing good relationships, especially in those early days when maybe everyone's trying to get their attention?
So great question. And listen, I have so much respect for everyone that does this, whether it's in the NFL, Major League Baseball, hockey, college, whatever the case may be. So I don't necessarily know that it's advice or anything that I'm unraveling here that's brand new. Conversation, just getting on the same page, consistent conversation. And if you remember last offseason, a lot of us were also in COVID, right? So we were at home. So the conversation's a little bit more difficult to come by way of seeing somebody in a hallway. But we have such an open-minded group here with the Jets on the football side, PR, content. We all want to do great work, right? So how do you get there? You establish trust by having consistent conversations. Here's what we would like to do. What is your comfort level? Well, let's go this way. Let's try to go this way. And as long as you're able to listen to one another and be consistent with what you're trying to do. And if you say, listen, this interview is going to take place at 9:45 on Wednesday, and it's going to take 35 minutes. You don't go 56 minutes and you don't show up at 10. So just, living up to what you're saying and what you're doing. And as you establish trust, you get, more access per se. And then the content should reflect that. And it's just getting on the same page and introducing yourself. This is what we do. This is what we like to do, and go from there.
All right. Well, let's talk about that beautiful space that you're in right now, the BetMGM studio. It originally opened inside your Florham Park facility prior to last season, prior to the 2020 season. So we're here in 2021. What's new about the studio, and how have you and your team gotten comfortable in it?
Listen, and you and I have been friends for a while, so we talked about this. Is it awesome to say when things exceed your expectations? That's what this space has done. It has exceeded my expectations. The integrators, Diversified, that we work with, or Jack Morton, and our wonderful presenting sponsor, BetMGM. I mean, everybody involved in the process, Brandon, from the smallest details to obviously carving out the space in our permanent practice facility here at One Jets Drive. everything has worked really well. And I'm knocking on wood here. I mean, we're thankful that it has, but from the smallest of technology to our great Canon cameras, to our big screen monitors, our telestration, our control room, which is our former studio. So we took our old studio and made that our control room. And it's a beautiful space with wall monitors and a raw switcher. I mean, there's just so many pieces of technology that we're proud of and we're glad we went with. But like I said, it's exceeded our expectation. If we were to lift this curtain right here behind me to my right, you could see the practice facility. I mean, literally, you could wave to Zach Wilson from here, and not that he's going to pay attention, but and I don't want him to. But the vantage point here is fantastic, and we're very fortunate to have this space.
All right, you guys are churning a ton of content out of that space, including a lot of live shows for social throughout the week, on game days. One of the new pieces of content that you guys just recently introduced is a podcast series called The Exchange. It's hosted by a couple of former New York Jets, Nick Mangold and Mark Sanchez, two names that New York sports fans and NFL fans are certainly going to know. Curious about how that project came together and what resources are they and you utilizing to make it happen?
So they wanted to do it. That's how it came together. And we
helps.
have a relationship with, yes, we've been doing some content with Nick for a few years now. And then Mark is, let's be honest, blowing up on Fox and doing so much great work. He has his own podcast. So we said, let's get these guys together, for goodness sakes. They used to work together here with the Jets, and they have tremendous personalities, tremendous natural engagement with the fan base. And we're even hoping to broaden the Jets world, right? And with this podcast by getting great guests on. Rich Eisen was our first guest. He was tremendous. The camaraderie that you could see, because he's a lifelong Jets fan, having grown up here in New York. And just the way they bounce ideas off each other. And even the production meetings leading up to the podcasts have been entertaining. So if I could say that, just imagine we're one episode into a 6-episode series. I can't wait to see how this thing unfolds. Jets fans, like I said, will like it, but I think everybody will like it. You know, everybody in the sports world and pop culture, whatever the case may be. I think it's going to be entertaining. They're awesome to work with.
Yeah, and not being totally biased as a Jets fan myself, but another piece of content or a content series that you guys have been doing for a little while now is One Jets Drive. That's your answer, if you will, and I certainly don't want to put words in your mouth, to the dramatic, embedded with the team, kind of behind-the-scenes storyline, that kind of content series that seemingly every team from NFL to college to every sport in between wants to have. What's the most challenging part of producing a series of that nature? You have it, and you do it well, but what challenges do you face, and how do you feel you and your team overcome those as you're putting a series of that nature and that depth together?
To pull something off that is that magnitude of a piece of content, a docu-series like that, you need the right people. Mm-hmm. We have the right people. They are the most resilient group. They approach this with an extreme plan, meaning that if this goes left, we need to go right. They're always prepared for how the storylines are going to unveil themselves and being a step ahead of a situation, right? If we go on the road and we got to cover this, they are on top of it. The way that these guys approach this project is why it's successful. I just had the advanced screening of this week's episode, and it's dialed in. It's dialed into the individuals on the New York Jets that are making news right now. And we're trying to present that in a high cinematic quality with great editing, storytelling, unique angles, music integration, montages, writing. Everything we do, we take seriously. Again, and the people that we have doing it are the tops. I mean, these people are so talented that I leave the screening room or I watch it online and it's like, you know, the smile comes to my face. It's just a sense of pride, but not just me and my role. It's everyone, hopefully in the organization and in Jets Nation, that is appreciating the commitment to that storytelling. So as you know, Brandon, this business is all about people, and we're very fortunate at the Jets to have the right people.
Well, it sounds like you have quite a few of these, but before we let you go, I'd love to ask you about maybe either a content highlight for you or a moment in the season where you were particularly proud of this group. I know that maybe it's boiling that down to one moment. Sounds like it might be a little hard right now, but is there a point in this season where you really had a moment where you stepped back and goes, man, we got something really good cooking here?
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is, you know, I take a step back when you ask that question, and I'm proud all the time to be working with these folks.
Sure.
But I got to say, on game days, when I'm able to sit where I sit and look down and see everybody hustling, the social folks, we have great writers. We have people that are hosting. We have those in the press box that are coordinating and making sure the storylines and everything is regulated and on time, press conferences, and how we're going to get to the field, how we're going to have connectivity back here at the studio in the control room, and just being part of this group and their extreme commitment to their crafts. So it's those game days that everything comes together, and those are a celebration of the sport itself, the NFL. So it's also a celebration for me being just a part of this great group of content creators in all facets of it. Again, from social to editorial to podcasting to live to docu-series. It's just we're in a fortunate situation.
Well, congratulations on how it's all kind of come together. We really appreciate you taking some time for us. We know there's not a whole heck of a lot of downtime in the NFL season, especially in December. But thank you for bringing us into the BetMGM studio. Thank you for updating everything that you guys have been up to, and for your expertise for the audience. Chris, it's always great to talk to you. Thanks for taking the time.
Brandon, thank you. I have a lot of gratitude for you and what you do, and thank you for featuring us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and if you are watching at home and would like to know more about the BetMGM studio, if you're watching this on YouTube or somewhere, head on over to sportsvideo.org. We'll have a more in-depth breakdown of some of the gear and some of the strategies that are going into the Jets 360 content plan and that BetMGM studio that you are seeing Chris in right now. All of that and a whole lot more right now over at sportsvideo.org.